The Apple Watch Series 11 just got an update, but something else happened that I didn't expect, and that is that Apple also announced the new Apple Watch SE3 with way more features than I was expecting, like an always-on display, an S10 chip, 5G cellular connectivity, and it makes me wonder if most people should just save their money and get an Apple Watch SE, or is there maybe one really big reason to go for the Series 11 over the SE that makes it worth $150 more? Well, let me answer that question by going over all these new features for the Series 11 and the Apple Watch SE so you can decide which watch is right for you. Now, yes, I am making this video in advance of these being available because the Apple Watches are being sold on Apple's website right now, and full disclosure, I do not have these Apple Watches on hand, but Apple did keep the same design for the Series 11 as the Series 10, and it even has the same S10 chip, and the SE has the same design as the old SE. So I already know how these watches perform and kind of the key differences living with them each day. So I think this video will be helpful for a lot of people because people gotta make up their minds. Now, one of the first big differences between the Series 11 and the SE is the design and the size of the watches. Series 11 has two sizing options, 46 and 42 millimeters, which is bigger than the SE's 44 and 40 millimeter casing size. Now, for most people, the bigger screen size is a pro. It allows you to see more content, you get bigger watch faces, and the 46 millimeter size of the Series 11 is almost as big as the Apple Watch Ultra 3's display. However, some people do not like the design of a big watch, and for most people, the Series 11 is going to take up the entire width of your wrist. So if you prefer a smaller watch, well, the 40 millimeter Apple Watch SE is currently the smallest watch that Apple sells. Now, despite the Series 11 being larger, it is also thinner than the SE, so it sits closer to the wrist and it's easier to fit under tighter long sleeve shirts, whereas the SE is a little more bulbous. On the plus to the SE's display this year, though, is that it is finally an always-on display, meaning that the display no longer turns off when you put your wrist down. You can always see the watch face. Now, although it is an always-on display, it still lacks a lot of the display upgrades that the Series 11 has. First of all, the Series 11 has an always-on display that is a little bit better because it refreshes at a faster rate. So you get cool little details like seeing the seconds hand tick when the always-on display is activated. The Series 11 display is also brighter at 2000 nits versus the 1000 nit display on the SE. In indoor use, this isn't a big deal, but on a bright, sunny day, that extra brightness does make the screen on the Series 11 a lot more legible, and the Series 11 display is also brighter when viewing it at an angle. For me, though, the real drawback of the design for the SE this year is, well, the color options. Yeah, Apple used to have 3 color options for the SE, but this year they are limiting it to just 2 aluminum finishes, midnight or starlight, aka black or white. The Series 11 has much broader and better color options, including silver, space gray, rose gold, and my favorite color from last year, the new jet black color, which I think looks so cool. On top of that, you can even make the Series 11 even more premium with optional titanium finishes, which come in natural, gold, or slate black. These options are more expensive and really drive up the price compared to the SE, but they do also come with a sapphire crystal display, which is less prone to scratching. However, Apple does say that the Series 11 has a new ceramic coating on the glass display that makes it twice as scratch resistant compared to the Series 10 display. Unfortunately, the SE3 display does not get this coating, but it does get a stronger glass that is 4 times more crack resistant than the SE2. Personally, I have never had a problem with any of my Apple Watches cracking, but based on my experience, every aluminum Apple Watch that I've worn with a glass display has had some sort of hairline scratches after a year of use, while any sapphire display version I've owned on the more premium titanium models has never scratched once, and I bumped this into quite a few things. I'm not sure if the Series 11's new ceramic coating will change this, but all I can say based on the information I have now is that if you hate scratches, the Series 11 should provide a better experience all around, and if you can't stand scratches, pay extra for that sapphire display. Now, the back of the SE is also made of a nylon composite instead of a mixture of ceramic and metal, so it technically has a less premium finish on the back, but once it's on your wrist, I really never noticed the difference, and it's not like my SE has had any durability issues. Both Apple Watches have the same water resistance up to 50 meters, but the Apple Watch Series 11 does have a depth gauge to 6 meters and a water temperature sensor. Now, one big upgrade on the Series 11 this year is Apple has managed to get a 6-hour battery life improvement on this model, leading to 24 hours of battery life, which is respectable. That means the Series 11 is in between the battery life of the old Apple Watch Ultra and the Apple Watch Series 10. The SE unfortunately does not get this battery life upgrade and still has the same 18-hour rating as every previous normal Apple Watch model. Now, for most people, that probably shouldn't matter. The 18 hours of battery life will probably last you through a full day of usage, and the SE3 also gets faster charging. It can get up to 8 hours of battery life with just 15 minutes of charging, and it can get from 0 to 80% in 45 minutes of charging. The Series 11 does charge a bit faster here and has better battery life, so you can charge to 80% in just about 30 minutes of charging. Again, small improvements, but nothing life-changing. Now, although the battery has improved on the Series 11, one big thing the SE3 has going for it is that it literally uses the same exact S10 chip as the flagship Series 11 and Apple Watch Ultra 3, meaning you do not get a speed advantage on the more expensive models, or rather, you don't get a speed downgrade by going for the cheaper Apple Watch SE, and that, in my opinion, is one of the most important Apple Watch features. The S10 chip runs watchOS very smoothly, apps load fast, and the watch is very responsive, which is important when you mainly interact with the watch with very quick interactions throughout your day. You don't want that slowing you down. That chip also enables the wrist flick gesture and the double tap gesture that used to be exclusive to the higher end Apple Watch models. Although the SE still is missing the ultra wideband chip, which means it does not have the more advanced precision tracking in the Find My app, but you can still ping your Apple Watch and have it play a sound if you misplace it. But ultra wide chips are kind of becoming increasingly important for things like digital car keys, so make sure you don't need or want a feature like that. Another surprise with the SE is that 5G cellular service was supposed to be one of the flagship S11 features. And yes, the Series 11 has a 5G cellular option, but this has also come to the Apple Watch SE. So if you are a cellular user, you get the same speed advantages on the cheapest model now. And one bonus thing I love about the Apple Watch SE model every year, and so many people overlook this, is that the cellular Apple Watch SE model is only a $50 upgrade, whereas the Series 11, for the same 5G upgrade, is a $100 upgrade. I don't know why the SE cellular option is half the price, but it makes the value proposition of the SE just so much better. Just know that if you do get the cellular option, it does require a plan with your carrier, but those plans are about $10 a month, and when you have them, you can stay connected even when you don't have your iPhone near you. All right, what gives here? The SE has the same chip, the same 5G cellular service, and the same 64 gigabytes of storage. It gets an always-on display. It gets the new sleep tracking score feature. There has to be something more here to make the Series 11 worth the additional $150. And well, I think that does come down to the health sensors. The Series 11 continues to have exclusive health sensors, letting you monitor your blood oxygen percentages or take an ECG reading on your wrists to detect if you have an irregular heartbeat. It also gains a new hypertension feature, which can spot signs of chronic high blood pressure and notify you of possible hypertension. That is a pretty big new health feature that should be helpful to lots of users if it works well. Now, yes, I say this every year, the Apple Watch SE does get the most important health sensors. That is the heart rate monitor, which gives you high and low heart rate notifications and gives you accurate calorie burning information for workouts. It also includes fall detection and car crash detection, which have proven to be absolute lifesavers. And the SE is not without a new health sensor. It also gains the temperature sensor, just like the Series 11. This lets you track your wrist temperature during sleep and can give you cycle tracking and ovulation estimates. Another feature I can't review. Yes, some people will benefit from the advanced health sensors of the Series 11, but as a reviewer, I have to be honest with you, whether it's blood oxygen sensing, the ECG on my wrist, or ovulation tracking, well, thankfully, I have not really needed these the entire time I have worn Apple Watches, which have been over 10 years at this point. But I get it. It is kind of reassuring to have those sensors, even if you never need to use them. And that is where your buying decision comes in. Do you want or maybe need those more advanced health sensors? Or do you want a larger display? Or maybe you want a more premium color or material option? Then yes, the Series 11 is a good option at that $400 price point. If you want the flagship Apple Watch model and don't want to compromise or miss out on any feature, this is the one to get. However, I really think now that the SE3 has an always-on display and the same performance as the Series 11, it is the Apple Watch that most people should buy. At $250, it is a no-brainer and definitely should be the Apple Watch you buy if you are a first-time user. I love when Apple makes a good budget model. Sometimes they miss and sometimes they don't. And this year, the SE3, it does not miss. This is a great option for anyone looking for an Apple Watch, and I'm going to recommend this thing to a lot of people. All right, but that is my buyer's guide on the Series 11 versus the Apple Watch SE 3. I really hope this video helped you out in making a purchasing decision. If it did, all you have to do is like my video, subscribe if you want to see more. I'm not threatening you, I'm just suggesting it. And hey, if this video helped you out, consider using my affiliate links in the description below to buy a new Apple Watch model. It's free and helps support the channel. And hey, it's Apple season, so I'm gonna need all the money I can get right now. All right, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.